her spare.
Ann Marie, the 6th and final qualifier in the qualifying round, 10,840 pins, 4th-year pro from La Habra, California.
Okay, Ann moves over and she's chopped the 6 off the 10. She was, when we had our question and answer period in the end of the finals last night, Ann Marie would talk about her spares, and she is a power bowler. She'll move over to the left and she'll just throw in the direction. She does not use a changing of her mark, or main thing she does is she tries to play the ball a little bit straighter and to make the 10. Here comes Wendy's first shot. She's been a little bit nervous here after leading all the tournament, and we'll see how she comes out of the hole.
So the 18-year-old amateur from Walnut Creek, California, opens up with the strike. This is her first career pro tournament. She led the 2nd, 4th, and 5th rounds before slipping a bit at the end and finished 5th overall. Now, in the head-to-head matches in the position round, Macpherson defeated Pike yesterday, 228 to 189. She lost earlier to Pike in a match play, 199 to 232.
Okay, Wendy's going to get up on the left lane now. I think she's very comfortable. All the players were throwing a lot of strikes in practice, so I think we're going to see high-scoring matches today. Okay, the ball breaks up high a little bit right at the end. She's left the 7-pin. Now we'll see if we get a tendency to start, because Ann Marie had went high on the left-hand lane. Sometimes, no matter how they dress and condition the lanes, you'll have different lanes will have different characteristics. Right now, we've seen after the first 2 shots at 15 is breaking more, and the players will have to make an adjustment.
Wendy Splitter, 24 matches earlier this week.
Wendy makes a very nice shot on this. Just before we started, I noticed that Pat Costello went over and said a few words, I think, of encouragement, maybe a little bit of advice to Wendy. Pat is, sort of sitting on a fence here. She said that she does not really want to bowl Wendy, but she wants Wendy to win as much as she possibly can. So we may have a chance of a teacher and a student bowling each other. Ann Marie comes up on lane 16, and, I think the ball, she swung it right a little bit around the 2nd arrow. The ball seems to be holding on 16. Now she'll come back over on the lane she was high, and we'll find out. It may have just been a little bit of nerves. We're just now starting the first match and trying to get into the swing of things, and she might have just not quite got it out as far.
A couple of tour wins for Ann Marie. In fact, 1985 won at Merritt Island when she started right where she's at now in 6th place. Uh-oh.
Okay, Ann Marie, that time she goes a little bit wider on 15, thinking that she's going to be able to get the ball back, and you'll find out that the ball is going to go right. She's going to get it this time out to about the 7th board, but it even goes farther, clear out to about the 3rd board, about halfway down the lane. It will not come up. The head pin goes to the left of the 2, and the 10 remains standing.
Already with an open frame in the 1st and an open frame here in the 3rd. So the amateur Wendy Macpherson moves to the early lead, 11 pins up in the 1st, and now up 24 pins as Wendy gets ready to roll here in the 3rd frame.
Wendy's come back on. All the players now have struck on lane 16. They seem like they've settled in. It didn't appear in practice that they were having trouble on either lane. It felt like that both lanes were about the same, and they were playing them in the general direction. But again, we're in TV finals and match play, and we're bowling for a lot of money. This time Wendy swings the ball to the right a little bit, adds a little bit more speed, and leaves the 1-3-8. 1-2-8, I'm sorry.
Here's another look at it. Wendy averaged 205 pins, almost 206 for her 56 games of action this week at Gage Center.
As you see in the replay, Wendy swung the ball a little bit right. It didn't make it back. She's had some thumb trouble right here at the end of the tournament because of bowling 56 games to get here. And that sometimes will have an effect on how well you can get through the ball. Covers her spare perfectly, though.
And Wendy's up 21 pins through the first 3, off to the early lead. And as mentioned, they split their 2 matches during qualifying, with Wendy winning the position round yesterday.
Wendy's had a lot of pressure put on her. We've talked about that there has not been an amateur win in 14 years, and I know that the press has really played her up, and they've just had a lot of fun with her, and she's a very personable young gal at 18 years old.
Practically lived here, hasn't she? She hasn't been more than, what, 20 yards from this, from the center.
No, they're living in a motorhome out beside the center. This time she moves over on 16 and trips a 10 forward.
Well, it's a good start for Wendy Macpherson. A couple of open frames for Ann Marie Pike, who's fallen behind here at the outset.
Ann Marie, though, is, like I've said, is a very powerful player. She's bowled well on this pair. I think she'll get lined out. We just don't want her to wait too long. She comes up on 16, and the ball hooks and goes Brooklyn.
The Jersey side for her first strike to get back there, second strike, I should say, to get back in the action.
Okay, you're going to see she's a little bit tentative now. She's not real having a lot of confidence, and she comes up on the line a little bit. She's rearing up, which she does some anyway because she is a power player. But this time she's going to pull the ball, and it goes Brooklyn.
Finished 7th last year among the money winners, $36,920.
This is the lane she needs to hit. And again, the ball's going to hook and go left of the 1-3 pocket. She's left the 6-10 again. This is the spare that she chopped last time. She took the 6 off the 10. Again, here she is. She's rushing it a little bit. She throws it. This time the ball is in about 10. It stays about 10 all the way. She's tightened up her line, but see the ball will come real hard on the back end, goes through the pocket and leaves a 6-10. Now she's moved left to make this spare, and she chopped it last time. She makes a nice adjustment, got the ball to go a little bit farther down the lane on an angle before it hooked, and it didn't hook back as much that time to be able to cover the spare.
Wendy Macpherson, the youngest girl ever to bowl a perfect 300 game, came at age 14, and that's not bad.
More and more players. You know, we had a lot of people in the bowling business here this week, and they, you know, heard about an 18-year-old amateur leading the tournament, and every one of them that went down and watched her bowl a little bit with me were just thoroughly impressed. Now she's right back in, tightened her line up, and I think Wendy has got control of the match. She has her opponent down, and now's the time to turn on the coals. Again, she's hit 16 every time. You watch her this time. She swings the ball. It's going out to about the 8th board. The ball goes down. She has plenty of ball speed to keep the ball from hooking too drastic on the back. And it's just what we call hitting the 18th board, which is the board that goes right in the pocket, and there's all 10 pins in the pit. This was the one that could really put the pressure on Ann Marie.
Up 31 pins as she rolls here. There's 3 in a row, and Wendy Macpherson, the amateur from Walnut Creek, California, jumps to a 41-pin lead over Ann Marie Pike, who really has to get it going now, Rex, to keep from falling out of this thing.
Ann Marie's in trouble. She's going to have to get some strikes going, and she is a power player and can throw a lot of strikes, and then she gets a bad break. This is the only true tap in bowling is to leave the 8-pin, and we're going to come back with a replay here. Again, she's out. The ball's perfect. It goes out to about the 6th board, continues out to about the 5th because the ball is going to hook real hard on the back end. The ball goes through. It gets the 1, 3, 5, and the 9, and that's what you're supposed to do, but the 8-pin remains standing.
This is Ann Marie's 17th career TV appearance. Of course, it's Macpherson's first, and yet another open frame. So you'd think the experience factor, the TV exposure factor would be in favor of Pike, but Macpherson here seems to have handled it much better early.